Hi everyone, this is Pat. I'm back. We're ready for lesson 7. Lesson 7 is where we're going to actually play music in 3/4 time signature, and we're going to add eighth notes, also known as quavers. Now, if you're somebody that's been with these lessons from lesson 1s, congratulations, because that means you're making progress. Now, my goal with these lessons is to have you eventually learn the basics well enough that you're not afraid to check out and see if there's a recorder society in your area where you can learn to play with a group of people. If there's nothing like that in the area where you live, you can still have a lot of fun. Because once you learn to read this music well, there are just tons of music books out there that you can play and have such a wonderful time. Well, let's get right into the lesson. I'm going to get this really close so you can see it well. And again, you don't need to see me. So today we're going to play in what's called 3/4 time signature. Now from the last lesson, you should have learned that means there's now 3 beats in every single measure. And because there's a 4 on the bottom, it means the quarter note receives 1 count. In the last lesson, we talked about the fact that you cannot have a whole note or a semibreve in 4/4 time simply because there's too many beats. You can only have 3 beats. So we have to create a way to have a 3-beat note in 3/4 time. And that's with the use of the dot. When you put a dot next to a note, it makes the note longer. So when you put a dot next to a half note, it's a note that equals 3 counts. Because the dot's value is half of the value of the note that it's next to. So the dot in this case is next to a half note or minim, which receives 2 counts. Half of that is 1, so the dot gets 1 beat. 1 plus 2 is 3. Now if you don't remember any of that, just remember that the dotted half note gets 3 beats. Now 3/4 and 4/4 have an entirely different feeling. Like in 4/4, it's very straightforward. In 3/4, it's like a waltz. Same song, different time signature, it feels different. And so it has a whole different feeling. So when we come up to an exercise like this, and we have the dotted half note, we set a beat. And then I'm going to play the very first exercise. 1, 2, 3, 1, here I go. Now, did you notice there was not a double bar there? No double bar. That means you have to keep going and keep playing. Double bar, the song is over. I'm still only using G, A, and B. Don't worry, new notes are coming in the next lesson. But you want to be really good at reading B, A, and G before you press forward. Now, when you have that breath mark in the parentheses, it's telling you if you can't make it to the end of the line, that's a good place to breathe. Don't breathe in the middle of these notes. Now, at the speed we're going, it's hard to make it to the end of the line in one breath. So if you noticed my playing, I took a breath there. When you increase the speed, and it has more of that waltz feeling, but you want to play it slowly first until you have that feel for 3/4 time. Now, Faz, well, I'm not going to pronounce that song because I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a French Cajun song. And since I don't know French and I don't know Cajun, I'm not going to abuse the title of it by pronouncing it. I only know English and Spanish. So, now this is a smaller part of a larger song you're going to learn in a few lessons that has 5 notes in it. But when I play this, you're going to get the feel for what the 3/4 sounds like. Now, when you play these 2 exercises slowly, especially here, you want to be very careful that you don't just keep breathing. That's why you have to really work on that mental part of it. So yeah, you want to try to get these 2 dotted half notes with the tongue doing the work and without breathing. So then it sounds like this. And then if you can do it all in one breath, now I find the speed that I just play that at can be a little fast when you're just starting out, especially if you're not real comfortable reading music yet. So don't be afraid to go slow. I'd like you to really make sure you have the next song. Yep, it's actually a song, it's not an exercise. Good, so that when we get to the whole song that has more notes, you'll be ready for it. So that's what a 3/4 time signature sounds like. Now practice that because look what we're adding today. Okay, this is where we're adding. I'm going to do a quick review. We have had the whole note, which in 4/4 time receives 4 counts, also known as the semi-breve in the British system. We have had the half note, which in 3/4, 4/4, and 2/4 gets 2 counts. That's the minim. We've also had the quarter note, or the crotchet, and whenever there's a 4 on the bottom of any time signature, it means that's the note that gets 1 count. So today we're adding the 8th note. It looks like a quarter note, but it's got a little flag on it. It only gets a half a count. So if you want to have 2 8th notes together to equal a whole count or 2 quavers, you take those little flags and you tie those little flags together. And then you come up with 8th notes. Now if you look at these 8th notes, there they are. There's 2 of them, 1 and 2. We're back to 4/4 time signature. Don't worry, we aren't going to stay in 4/4. So here we have 1 8th note, we have 2 8th notes, and over here we have 4 8th notes. You can put as many 8th notes together as you want to. So when you play 8th notes, they are going to be faster than the quarter notes. So listen to me play this exercise. 1, 2, here I go. So did you hear how they were? And that's why you have to be able to use your tongue. If you do this, it doesn't sound very good. So let's play this together. This lesson's going to be a little longer than the other lessons, but let's do this. 1, 2, here we go. Now I'm going to go through these next two exercises quickly. You can practice them slowly. If you have any questions about eighth notes or quavers, just put a question in the comments and I'll answer it. Here I go with number 2. 1, 2, and here I go. And number 3. Now when you're practicing it slower, you're going to be tempted to want to breathe right after that note. You're going to be tempted to want to do this. So just try, and just try not to breathe except where there's breath marks, of course, unless you have to. Now I'm going to play this exercise slower just to show you that you can practice it slower, and you may play with me. 1, 2, 3, and play. Take those eighth notes through those quavers and transfer them to a song. Well, let's take a look at hot cross buns before we look at the French folk tune. We had hot cross buns a lesson or two ago, and when we did that one, we had just half notes, just whole notes, and just quarter notes. Well, now we've got quarter, quarter, half, quarter, quarter, half, eighth, 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 quarter, quarter, half, or quaver, 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 quaver. And notice I've got all 4 of those eighth notes connected together. That means that this hot cross buns is going to sound a little faster than the other one. So here's my beat. 1, 2, here I go. So see how those eighth notes give some perk and some joy to a song. So really work on those with your tongue. And follow those breath marks. Try not to do this. Just go. Now, real quickly, I want to end the lesson with the French folk song. This is also part of a longer song, and you're going to learn the whole song. But right now, we're just going to get right into this little part of a French folk song, also known as Au clair de la luna. Oh, Luna's Spanish, sorry. Okay, now you have one new thing, and it's a repeat sign. The repeat sign is a double bar line, a fat line, a skinny line, and the 2 dots makes it a repeat sign, which tells you I'm playing, I'm playing, I'm playing, I'm playing. Oh, I have a repeat sign. That means I have to go all the way back to the beginning and I have to play again. Notice I now don't have any of the notes written in here. This is the part where I'm hoping you've learned how to read the G, I, and the B, and if you have, that's why in the next lesson we're going to learn some new notes. Yep, it's time for new notes. So I'm going to play the French folk song. You can look at it. If you think you're ready, you can play with me. 1, 2, here I go. Repeat. Now, I've gone through this lesson pretty fast, but you know, my job is to introduce you to the things, and then your job is to practice them slowly. So make sure you're really good at reading the G, A, and B, because next lesson, new notes, and I can't wait to introduce them to you. This is Pat with Recorder for Everyone. I hope you've got a friend you're learning to do this with, and I'll see you for lesson number 8.